Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fit and Frugal. I'm your host, Tani Nguyen, and today I have my very first threesome. The homie Jeff J. Hunter right here.
Yes.
And my beautiful girl, Katya.
Thank you, love. So happy to be here. I'm excited for this one.
Or do you like Katya Hayley, or is that like the whole porn thing? Like the double name?
Ooh, wow.
Katya Hayley.
Let's
We're
keep it at
getting spicy
Katya.
already.
That's good.
I love
Katya Hayley.
Yeah. So welcome and thank you for being here. And I think why I feel like this conversation needs to be had more often is something that we talked about at the event on Saturday with what consumers want from brand. And that still kind of stuck with me, especially we're entering an age of AI that we think it's still in infancy, but I think we're a lot further than most people.
Yeah.
Right? That are not predominantly using AI in their business and stuff.
Yep.
But what I want to really ask you guys, since we didn't get to touch on this on Saturday, is like with what consumers want is authenticity and, vulnerability and all that stuff from brand. Like, how do you think AI and AI related technologies now affecting what it's doing to human connection as well as brand relating to consumers directly?
You want to take that first?
Sure. I would say that obviously with emerging technology like AI, it's one of the things that people are doing a lot with it is content creation and writing captions and long form copy and things like that. And most people actually just go in like ChatGPT and be like, write me a blog post about leadership, But then it creates such a generic type of content. So there's a lot more people who are using it and actually put a lot of trash out. So it's really actually hard to find like what is actually true and are they actual experts? Because nowadays with finding the right copywriting hacks and tips, you can actually program AI to write it and people can like just pretend, be like, I'm this expert. So I would say there's definitely a problem with authenticity when it comes to it. However, and I'm sure Jeff will touch on that, is there is a way to program AI to write just like you and sometimes even better. I mean, we did that at our event that we hosted last month. We wrote a really touching copy of a lady whose husband passed away and the entire room was sobbing after we had Claude write the caption.
Yeah.
So to me personally, it was like kind of like a breakthrough for myself personally, seeing like, wow, this can actually really touch the hearts and the souls. So I think there's definitely both sides.
Yeah, I think there's two to finish up what Katya was saying and then back to your original question. AI is definitely way further than most people think it is. We only see what commercial available, like here's the version that we've proven and tested and it's good, and here you get to play with it. And even those versions are like, wow, incredible. And most of the reason why people don't get good results from AI is because they suck at writing or they suck, they're just not great in general. Like AI is like an amplification. It's almost like money. Like if you're a good person, money is a great tool. If you are a shitty person, money is also a great tool to continue with what you want to do.
Yeah.
But onto what you were saying about the human side of it and AI, and I love what Katya said, like you don't even know who's real anymore. It's really important, I believe. Right now is a very important time to build your brand. It's really important to build authority. It's way more important right now to build community. And the reason being is because very soon anybody will be able to look good because they can go to an AI. They can literally chat and use the AI to create their social media content, their blog post, whatever else not. And right now we're in the infancy of the quality of the pre-programmed language models and natural language processing, which, the data sets right now aren't great. That's why if you type, hey, write me a blog on this or a social media post on that, like 99% of all the content that's inside the database sucks. So of course you're going to get sucky results. So but for someone like Katya and I, who we do this for a living, me and Katya have done over 100 AI consult calls. We actually just spent a whole day recording content yesterday for the University of South Florida. We're actually the very first AI curriculum in that program, so we're super excited about that. Like for us, we can get it to. I just wrote a post using AI literally 30 minutes ago with a potential client, and he was just like, "Whoa, that's amazing."
Yeah.
And like that's where we're at right now. So the brand is very important because the people are going to be looking for who is actually legitimate. Who can I actually trust? And by the way, you know who's going to really hurt and hate life? Everyone in HR. Because now they're going to have to figure out, is this resume written by ChatGPT? How do I know this? Because me and Katya made a custom GPT that you literally give a job description for a job. It will write the perfect job description resume, and it will actually write a cover letter to make you the ideal candidate for that position.
Dude, I used to spend days and weeks and months actually writing my resume. It was such a pain in the ass. Luckily, I never had to use it, which is amazing and hilarious, and I'm very blessed to be able to not doing that. But I wish I had that when I was in college. Like, it would have been a game changer.
Yeah.
I actually helped my goddaughter. She's 24. And she was applying for her first job, and I actually helped her. I used my own custom GPT to help her write like her application letter and her cover, her cover letter and resume. And it was just mind blowing, like, because she had never really used AI before. And I actually told her, I said, think about this. You just graduated from college. You will be the last class to graduate who really did their own homework.
Yeah.
Kids, the kids, they're learning it, Me and Katya were just talking about this. 90% of all potential employers right now, the jobs that are out there, they're looking for people that have AI skills, that know how to use ChatGPT. It's just like, it's here.
Yeah. And I love that how you guys summed that up, because one, like what I got out of that as someone that actually went to college like later on in life, and my background comes from human communication, so anything between leadership and interpersonal. So I value like the identity of the spoken words and rhetoric.
Oh yeah.
And that's so misused lately in the influencer spheres, which I think a lot of people that go on the internet calls themselves gurus. It's because for that reason they are using innovation to falsify a narrative of the skill that they don't have or yet to develop. And I think that's fucking bullshit, because I'm like, that's fucking fantastic if you want to make money doing it. And why isn't the next guy doing it? But there are these kids, kind of like when we went through college, we're doing our own homework, right? But I think in this digital space itself, like you just said, like when you can just have AI write a resume for you, but when you show up as a person and you don't have those skills, and then what? Like, it can get you a ticket through the door, but at the end of the day, you still have to do your fucking homework. And I think that's why I kind of like that people have to go back to work. It's now because it shows. It's kind of like when the boat, when the ocean goes dry, like the one swimming naked, it's revealed. It's because I think we're entering that space where there's a lot of fluff on the fucking internet. And I hope, like, I don't wish this on people, but I just hope that there's that kind of exposure in terms of like who's really speaking truth, who believes in it, versus who's just using it as mass marketing just to get virality.
I think it's already happening though.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of almost Darwinian what's happening right now.
Yeah.
You see, especially in the coaching space, you see a lot of coaches and consultants who really, like there's I don't know if you're on TikTok, but I love watching these TikTok videos. There's I'm not going to say who it is. It's a funny ass guy, but he's made himself pretty famous on TikTok by applying for jobs. Like, he applies for jobs, and he literally, like, on the Zoom call, he will have Zoom open on one, and he'll have ChatGPT open on the other. And during the interviews, they will ask the questions, and he turns on the voice recorder thing, and it literally transcribes their questions live, and then he presses enter, and it literally gives the exact response. And he's like an Asian guy, barely speaks English, and he's just like, well, actually, in this case, I would, like.
Oh my God.
And he's got his camera behind it, so it's showing the Zoom call happening live, and like him reading off the ChatGPT script.
Wow.
So like, eventually it's going to get to a point to where the brand authority is and luckily for us, we've invested in the brand, so like people already have authority, but we're already seeing the real pushback, especially in publications. Like, you look at Amazon.com. Amazon.com now has a button, a checkbox that says, did you use AI to generate content in this book? So like, even that's happening. Let's go to an MIT research that shows that there was a research group. MIT did research. They had a test group. They gave them 2 pieces of paper. Both of them were articles. One of them was written by AI. One of them was written by a human. They didn't tell the research group that. They just said, hey, which one of these do you think is better? And everybody, pretty much the entire group, thought that the one written by AI was better. They said it was more professional, it was clean, easy to understand, thought it was well written, until they said that that one was written by AI. Then they liked the human one better, which means there's an innate bias against AI for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Humans are also worried about it. Plus, we've all seen Terminator, right? Which, by the way, is why every time I speak to the AI, I'm always like, hey, thank you for that. It's really great. Because when Skynet is developed and they go room by room, they're going to come to me and they're going to be like, hey, you were cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I am really nice to my ChatGPT bot.
Yeah, be
because I'm like,
nice.
can you do this for me? Oh, thank you. I'm like, thank you. But can you elaborate?
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to be nice because I feel like that's just how we are as humans too. But with you guys, like being AI consultants, right? So now you're training clients kind of like myself. Let's just put me in this role. And for me, it's what I want to ask you is like, what kind of personal responsibility do you feel? Because now when using AI, it's kind of like you're kind of teaching clients to use AI as, I would call them training wheels, to build the brand, to do all the steps and the processes and innovate all the steps that we as humans cannot think of. Because for me, that lacks creativity and that just lacks like originality. But it's a good training wheel. But how much of that responsibility is just them using that as a crutch and are never going to be able to let it go because it's doing so much better than we in our human capacity are able to output?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was thinking about the same thing, but actually from not even a business perspective, but as humans and our brain and how we operate, right? So my background as well is I'm a neurolinguistic programming coach and trainer. So I'm obsessed with patterns and language patterns in the humans and the language patterns when it comes to speaking with ourselves, but also speaking to others. Like I'm constantly monitoring like the language patterns of people, right? And I can identify, whether or not they have specific limiting beliefs or how they operate and stuff like that. What is their value levels and things like that. But with AI, what I was going to say is, for example, I don't even use Google anymore. I go to ChatGPT for anything, right? Because it just cuts out all the BS, right? And then if I have recipe
Not really.
that I'm looking for,
I'm gonna be honest with you. ChatGPT is so woke now. Like I was, it is.
Called it woke.
I was trying to get some real responses from it, and it was like, well, actually, I don't feel comfortable telling you the truth about that matter. I mean, that's not what it says, but that's what it means, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't tell you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I was going to say that I feel like it's definitely going to affect our brains as humans. Certain areas of our brain are going to stop operating because now we don't have to do the math. Like we don't have to actually engage that part of the brain anymore because we're going to rely on the computer because it's going to be so much faster. It's going to be, so much more precise. So I think on the long-term scale, if you look at it, we as humans are going to actually rely on technology a lot.
And as a social media copywriter, I was literally writing social media content for people because they sucked at writing social media content.
Yeah.
So there's some validity of what you're saying, but I mean, that's the purpose. I mean, that's why they hire brand builders, like most of these celebrities aren't writing their own posts, outside of like, Kanye and Trump, like who else is, like you ever read the official, like Joe Biden's friggin' Twitter? Like you look at that and you're like, dude, who's the like 20-year-old blue-haired person who's writing who's writing these posts?
The pronouncer they.
Like, we know, yeah, it's definitely a they them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that whole senile language is a different path, and I don't.
I can define
Speaking.
America in one word. Anyway, we're not going to go there. All I'm saying is the point is, all the way to the highest position in America, they have content writers. They have people that write their speeches and their social media content. It's not a new thing. The difference is, can you use AI to do that? So for me, in my previous life as a marketer, for me, it's made my life amazing because instead of me doing all the work or hiring other copywriters, I'm able to just train the AI. Here's what I would do. Here's what I would say. Here's what I would write.
Yeah.
I give it that data set. I give it my past social media content. I give it my past videos. It's able to know exactly how I talk, how I write, things like that. So let me give you the ethical dilemma. Here's the ethical dilemma. If I give my social media copywriter, my AI copywriter, 100 of my most viral posts, and then I have my AI imitate my writing style and write that post, or I hire a ghostwriter and then I give them 100 of my most viral social media posts to learn from, and then they write me a post. One is written by AI, trained by me. One is a human trained by me. Which one is legit?
AI will do better.
AI.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but I can train an AI in less than 30 minutes. It's going to take that human days, weeks, months to write like me, right? And here's the other thing. AI, it will never ask for a raise. It never complains when I ask for a revision, right? I can feed it so much data. It works 24/7, never poaches my clients. You know, like AI is amazing. I guess at the end of the day, it's just about how you use it and who owns the content. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah. I agree with that completely, just because data itself is what AI is programmed to do versus human. I think trying to have another human replicate your creativity, it's much harder, because I think at the same time you have to fight your own creativity as a copywriter. Like, I write my own blogs, like nothing I produce comes from AI. But I just feel like we're going into a path that there's such like a disparity between originality from me reaching you as a person, because now I would pass it on to my assistant, and my assistant is now going to put it into AI. And then my creative director is going to look through it. And if I have a social media team, they're going to filter that out, and they're going to filter that out.
I
agree.
Then
I look at the final revision and I'm like, well, that's not even me anymore, because it provides like a disconnect between the message itself from like sender, you know, A to B.
First off, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And this is why, you know, in this age of AI and automation, it's never been more important to be human.
Yeah.
Like, people want to have that human connection, and that's really important. I'm going to also, you made me think of something even more important from a business owner IP, from an intellectual property standpoint. Okay? Think about this. How many people in your life now, I'm a little bit older than you guys, but I've hired hundreds and hundreds of people to work for me. At one time, I don't even know. I mean, I probably would say I probably hired over 1,000 people to work for me to get to the 150 people that I have working for me right now. And on my creative team, I used to have 5 copywriters, okay? And guess what? How many copywriters do I have now?
5?
1.
I wasn't sure.
I have 1 copywriter that I really trust her. She's been great. She's been working for me for a long time. She actually works for other clients as well. She's incredible. But I want to bring up a point here. When you are absolutely amazingly skilled at something and you bestow that knowledge on someone else, what happens? In 6 to 8 months, they say, wow, I've learned something really valuable and I can charge someone else more for this, and they leave you. Copywriters are definitely notorious for that. You hire a good social media copywriter, whatever. I hire somebody and I teach them how to do it, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then of course, especially since, you know, what I teach actually works, you know, they can get results for people. Like, you know how easy it is to sell social media copywriting to somebody? Like, hey, how would you like to get like 100 likes on your next post? I can do that for anybody. So like, once I teach someone how to do that, they're gone. I don't have to worry about that with AI. I train the AI, that's my property. I don't have to worry about it trying to sell its knowledge to someone else. The only thing I'm worried about is, am I feeding the data to the AI, and is that AI being trained with my data set that I own? See? So that's the ethical dilemma right there. So
while you were saying this, you made me think of something too that I wanted to share. When our very first question that we talked about, the authenticity and like the realness of it. So I just wanted to share something, how I use AI from a personal life for my marriage that I think actually helped me save my marriage in a way. He actually gave me that title, you know, you should talk about it in this way.
Yeah.
But basically, you know, I was going through a hard time in our marriage with my husband because we've been working a lot. We're working together, also separately. And as you may or may not know, I don't know, it could get hard to work together with a partner.
Live in the same house.
And building a business and living together and traveling together all the time.
You can't fire him.
I cannot fire him.
You can't fire him.
You can go to another room, but you can't.
Right, this is the most that we can do. Right. And so I was like really, really sad about it. I'm like, I want to make this work. And, you know, I have coaches and things like that. But I'm like, let me just fuck around and find out. Like, what can we, what can we do here? And so, and you know, he's a great communicator. So he has expressed to me before, like, hey, I don't feel loved. Like, I don't feel, you know, honored. And to me, I'm like, that's so random because I love him so much and I honor him. And then we talked about 5 love languages, which I'm sure you guys know about, you know, and his love language is words of affirmation. And for me, paradoxically, it's the hardest thing to do because I didn't grow up in that. So it was very hard for me to communicate, you know, even those things that I love about him is just not natural, it's not authentic. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, hey, we're going through this like hard time in our marriage, and here's my husband, Don. Here's everything I know about him. I uploaded his freaking astrology chart. I uploaded his human design. I uploaded his Enneagram. I said, this is his love language. He loves when I compliment his hair. Like, you know, all the different subjective and objective things that I know about him.
By the way.
Yeah,
Don
everybody
has
compliments his hair. It's insane. So, and what it gave me, and my goal was that I wanted to make him feel loved and respected on a day-to-day basis because we're so busy and like, you know. And it gave me this idea to get sticky notes, get 100 of them, or 365 there was, but I just made 100 baby steps, right? And so it gave me even suggestions what to write on the sticky notes because it knows him. And so about half of it I took from ChatGPT, about half of them I just wrote down myself. It suggested me to put it in the jar next to our sink in our bathroom, in our master bedroom, and I put it there, and let me tell you, this dude was running every morning, the first thing, to that jar to get the sticky note and to read it, you know? And sometimes, like, he would give it to me so I can read it to him, so it really comes from me, like, you know, I love you, like, you are the best, you know, your smile is beautiful, like, whatever, like, you know, and oh my God, like it literally changed the entire dynamic of our relationship because of that small little thing that we might not think about. But I was just curious. I was like, let me just see, like, what is it gonna do, you know? And it was just amazing. Like, I love that story because I know how much it impacted me in our relationship. Yeah. Every time I tell about the story, he's like, well, where's my next jar? You know, because now it's over. But
now, is there something on there like, you have the nicest butt? You know what I'm saying?
I love your strong.
Are they authentic? You know, do you have to like float it up a little bit? Like, you have the biggest one. You know, like what's going on over there?
Well, that's where my creativity came from, and I'm like, let me add a couple things.
You got ChatGPT X-rated edition.
Let's patent that shit, dude. Sell sex bots and shit.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot, and talk about personal. Like that was so personal. Yeah. So personal. It literally saved like our relationship at that point of our relationship because I was just like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, I love you, but you don't receive it. Yeah. You know? So
I think we talked about this too during the exercise. When Alex was like, hey, tell this person like how much you like them, or well, I don't remember what the actual statement is. Yeah, like fill them, like fill their cup, right? And we were trying to share like words of affirmation with each other. And I like gave you a disclaimer. I'm like, hey, like I have this praise kink, but I can't receive compliments. I might give you a weird face, or if I make jokes, which we did. Yeah. And it's something that I still have to work on. And it's the same thing with my partner. And with ChatGPT, I love that you can outsource it in a way to where it's still kind of like you're outsourcing a part of you that's like needing help, kind of like feeding a therapist without going to therapy. 100%. That would be like the next step.
Which leads me, can I just add on something here? Because I have background in NLP, I'm so passionate about personal development because I have overcome so many challenges and I'm still yet growing and healing. But I love to see the change, and I love to understand how we as humans operate, our brains, and all of these things. So what I actually did after that, because that's exactly where my mind went. I was like, hold up, if this is just one thing that I can do, what can I do with all of my NLP knowledge and all my coaching experience and all the frameworks that I learned about? And I went into ChatGPT and I programmed it to be my NLP coach, like my own coach, because it doesn't have a bias. Because still, like, if you go to coaches, they have their own model of the world, and they can still give you the subjective, like, you know, advice that unsolicited sometimes. You know, with ChatGPT, I found out it was great. I uploaded my astrological chart, and I was working on specific aspect of my chart, which is like my feminine wounds or whatever. Dude, I found myself bawling 3 hours later talking to ChatGPT as I was healing through my my wounds with my mom, because it asked me all these questions that I never even thought of.
Boom.
You know, it's all about the quality of the
Now I
questions.
see how that tied into what I was saying, because now you can have a private conversation.
100%.
Right? Without the guilt and the judgment from a human.
Yes.
Emotions and bias.
And it was a release,
Wow.
because that's when we let go things. When they come to the awareness is when you let them go, and it doesn't affect you any longer. It doesn't weigh you down anymore.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was having a conversation with a computer that knew exactly what was happening and would ask me these questions that, like we talked earlier, is like quality of the questions that you ask is going to determine the quality of the output or the quality of your life that you live. Because if you ask yourself shitty questions, you're going to get shitty results. You know, and sometimes we don't know what questions to ask ourselves. And this is where like ChatGPT asked me some profound questions that I was able to really work through a lot.
Can we go deep on that for a second?
Yeah, let's pull on that.
I want to go deeper on that for a second, because interpersonally, like from what AI can do from a therapy standpoint of just like having that, you know, and by the way, people say it's unbiased. It's like, no, it's biased, you know, and you can train it to be biased and whatever you want, except, you know, you can't make it like Trump, but you can train it on pretty much, but you know, the thing is, you know, when it comes to having that conversation, you know, actually I'm going to take this, I'm going to chop this clip right here. I'm going to look at the camera right now. I'm going to say, yo, Michelle D, hit me up. Like Michelle D, former Miss Universe, love her to death. She's amazing. I spoke to her when I was in the Philippines last. I thought about how this could not only work for us regular capacity-filled humans, but also think about the people with disabilities that have anxiety, right? That have these problems. Michelle D has a huge purpose for, you know, people that suffer from different stages of autism and things like that. You know, like think about people who have a hard time communicating with other humans.
Oh my God.
Right?
So big.
That have a hard time with communicating with other people, and how much that could actually help them, even if they use the voice chat on ChatGPT, just communicating back and forth with AI to get better skills at actually educating. And if we create a bot where they could talk back and forth to it, and it would literally say, hey, you should probably do this next time. Here's a different way you can say it. Hey, you shouldn't talk about that. This might hurt somebody's feelings. Like people that are, think about, you know, people that have a hard time socially, like understanding how to communicate with people. Because this is something I respect a lot about you, Tawny, is that you are a very good communicator. I remember the very first time I met you, I knew we were going to be friends. Like, she said something very inappropriate, which I won't.
Wow, what a surprise.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. Surprise,
motherfucker.
She said something very inappropriate, but I was mentioning something about her contacts that she had, and she was like, oh my God, and she said something very inappropriate about me.
We can say it, you know, so the context to that is when he was like, oh, you have like really pretty eyes. I was like, oh, wow, like you actually looked at my eyes, and he was like, yeah. I was like, what did you want me to look at, like your dick? And immediately
I was like, oh, that was the first conversation we had.
That's crazy.
I was like, anyway, but like I knew, I was like, okay, she gets it. Like even my wife in the car ride, you know, when we first went
Oh my
and picked
God, your
her up.
wife was there?
Oh yeah, no,
not
the first time I met her. No, but my wife meeting you for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I hope Tawny's not gonna, I hope my wife is gonna survive this. I hope this is good, you know. And Tawny picks us up, and we're already late, and she's kind of pissed off in a way. And she's like, dude, what the heck, you know? Because my wife hit a jackpot on a machine, so we're like 5 minutes late. Like my wife literally won $800.
Sam were just like hanging out in the car,
Yeah, like they're waiting for us, and my wife's like, I don't know, she won like 28 free spins, and you know we're waiting for the 28 free spins, and she's out there waiting in the car, and then Tawny, as soon as we get in the car, Tawny's like, bah, like this amazing, like. It was like a man burp. It was like, it had some girth to it. You
why
know,
do you have to
throaty.
gentrify me, man?
You know?
Like, why do you gotta, what is that thing called? Pronouns. What kind of woke shit did you just slap on my shit,
but
man?
the point is that you're amazing at communication. You are amazing at communication, and you work really hard on it. For me, I was a huge introvert growing up, and like I had to work on myself. It's so funny because when I speak on stage and people are like, wow, Jeff, you're such a natural. You're such a natural. I'm just like laughing inside because I'm like, dude, there's nothing natural about that. Like I've had to work so hard on it.
You did, but you are natural because you're
well,
real.
now it comes, you know, now it's natural, but it wasn't there, right? But the point is that think about all the applications that we can, you know, use AI to use to develop our own skills.
Absolutely.
And just like skills, like most people think about using AI to like, hey, it can do my resume. Hey, it can do my content marketing. But think about how it can actually on a deeper level help us develop ourselves, personal development.
What I loved when you brought that up, and I kind of went off on this tangent too, is one, it's great for introverts because I'm also introverted just because I carry myself a certain way. Like I'm very secure in my character as a human being. That's why I can relate and connect to other people authentically is because I'm not afraid to show up as who I am. And there's a light that's missing in this world in between each other and human connection is that we think we have to be somebody else in order to be liked. And therefore we feel such a lack of fulfillment. And I think using AI to work on ourselves, especially if we're at home and using it, I'm going to come like at you in the streets, right? Because I grew up in the streets, and what's the number one rule in drug dealing? It's like never get high on your own supply. These people are just getting high on their supply because they're so dependent on it. They're creating a product that they cannot live without. But instead, look at us like we're innovating. How do we use that and do the internal work of actually becoming a better person, a better human being, so we can show up in this conversation for each other while we make dick jokes, while we fucking, you know what I mean?
I'm laughing because you made me think about
dicks.
Well, I always think about that.
Jeff.
My problem, so because I use AI so much, and like there's people like if you guys find me on social media, like on Facebook and stuff, like I actually have like at the end I'll even put like if it was written by AI or not because people don't know, and then sometimes I'll say it's written by AI and people will be like, you're full of it, no way AI wrote that, you know, like they have arguments over, you know, like someone literally called me out, was like, no dude, you're hella shady, you're writing this stuff and then passing it off as AI to make you look good. I'm like, dude, seriously?
Oh my God, wow, that's even better
that's
though.
A good compliment though, yeah. But that was like, but anyway, one time it backfired because I spent like 30 minutes writing my wife an entire essay of a message on, you know, she was going through some stuff and I was like trying to console her and stuff. And I like wrote her this long message. It was probably like 1,000-word message I sent her on SMS, old school. So it probably came in like 8 different things.
Man, relax.
But the crazy part is that afterwards she put ... And she says, wow, now you're using the AI to write to me. And I was like, wow, you know what? That totally backfired because I actually spent like 30 minutes writing it and she thought AI did it. She's like, no way my husband would actually do something like that. I'm like, in my mind, I was like, ooh. So I had to rethink about that. It goes back to what you said earlier about that authenticity piece. Like if people think that you are using AI, you've lost. You've lost it already, unless you specifically are saying, hey, I'm using AI to do this or whatever. Like, you have to be very careful what you use AI on because it will change the perception people have about you. That's the deepness.
What I wanted to touch on, since we mentioned the dick, on the piece of content we did the other day on accident with Flavorico. Right? And it's just funny that we didn't catch that. And I feel like a lot of those times, like candid content actually makes real content because now that's what people want. They want the behind the scenes, not people pretending it's behind the scenes, but the real shit. And there's not enough of it because everyone always care about going viral and they're pretending to be funny. Like they're trying too hard and they're trying to be funny. They're trying to do all of these things, trying to catch the trend. They're trying to say something that will go viral. And that for me, that metric is still, it gives me a little ick, right? Just to enter the space thinking like you're hoping and you're banking, you're wishing and praying this piece of content will go viral. And you're sacrificing true authenticity. It's like, why don't you just make the content, create the art, because you are the artist. You should say what you want to say and speak your truth. And whoever it aligns with, and if it does, that's your people. Not to reach 1 million people, but none of them will be your people because at the same time, it comes down to conversion. So when we were talking about how I was in the background, what did we say? It was like...
Well, Jeff was eating a really big burger and he
with
was
his
about to
mouth.
take a big bite.
I have a really small mouth, guys. I've had 8 teeth removed. I've had 8 teeth removed from my mouth, and even there's like people are like, "Oh, you have teeth?" Yeah, because you can never see them when I talk because my mouth is so small. You know, like you get to see like 3 teeth. You know what I mean? Like I could literally remove every tooth in my mouth except for my front 4, and you would never know that I don't have teeth.
That's a little traumatizing. I need to call my therapist after this.
But anyway,
I get made fun of that all the time. I get made fun of for my little tiny mouth all the time.
I never thought of
So
that.
I'm trying to eat this big mushroom burger.
Yeah.
And as I'm taking it, because she's trying to shoot a commercial, she's like, "Hey, look, let's shoot a commercial for Flavorico because, like, you know, they sponsored the event, and he made some badass
and it was so
chicken
good.
sandwiches and vegetarian things."
Yeah.
And I was like, and I went to take a bite, and I was just like struggling with my tiny mouth. I'm like, you know, I had to like dislocate my jaw to fit that thing there. And then all of a sudden, this one looks over, and I'm not going to say it because I'm, you know, I'm a
You're
good
trying to
guy.
be PG. Okay.
I'm a good guy.
I was like, dude, I've seen you suck dick bigger than that.
And it was so small and so witty. It was just like right there that most people probably wouldn't even catch it, really, because it just was so fast. But when I heard it again, like, I was just like, wow.
You
like,
sent it over to the owner.
I sent it to the owner
and then
in the
you
chat.
were like, wait a second, I don't remember her saying that. And it's like the opening thing. It's the opening scene.
Literally the first 30 seconds.
You know, but the reality is so this is the thing that I've learned. You know, I've gone viral on social media on almost every platform: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. You know, I'm good at getting attention on these platforms, and the funniest part is I spent tens of thousands of dollars on video production and all these things that look good, and I'm like, okay, this is the one. And the ones that go viral are always the ones that are shot on my shitty cell phone, unprepared, bad lighting, but a funny idea. And typically, it will be something that people are thinking, and they want to say it, but they just haven't said it, or they're afraid to say it. So, for example, the most viral video I've ever made in my entire life was a TikTok reply to a comment that was trolling me. So, I love gaming. I would even say that I suffer from a gaming addiction that, you know, I have under control. I haven't gamed for like almost a week now. But Scott Oldford, he did message me and he said, "Are you coming back tonight? Are we gaming tonight?" You know? So, what happened is I have this giant $13,000 gaming rig. And it's badass. I call it's a gaming cockpit, really. It's zero gravity. Like, it has a 50-inch screen. It literally, you press a button, it brings out the feet recliners, and you go back in the chair.
Wow.
And I was posting a video about it, and that video did okay. The one that I had highly produced about the chair, I had the videographer come over. It did okay. It got maybe like 10,000 views or something. And people were like, whoa, that's really cool, which was the purpose of me buying the thing. Okay. I bought the gaming cockpit thing for like almost $5,000. And then I had to buy a big computer and screen and whatever. So all in, it was about $13,000. What's wild is that I did all this time trying to promote it like, hey, this is cool. I got 10,000, 20,000 views. Somebody commented on my thing, and this was right around the time when George Floyd got killed, and he was already killed. And somebody commented on one of my highly produced videos and said, "Imagine spending $10,000 on a gaming rig and still being bad." And I was like, that was funny. And actually, I could tell by the amount of likes that he got on the post and the name, the real George Floyd. I was like, this guy is a troll. Yeah. He's the ultimate troll. So this is when TikTok just added in the whole TikTok video reply. So I clicked on reply with video. It had the comment overlay over the video. And all I did was set up a stupid like $5 Amazon tripod, and I put my phone on it, and I hit the record button with the 15-second countdown timer. And I found the funniest audio. There was an audio of a guy who was walking down a hallway, and he was like, you know, now that I'm on my own and I have adult money, I can buy anything I want, which means I end up buying shit like this. And then he lifts the phone up, and there's a shower curtain with a dinosaur riding a bicycle, and above it has the word bitches. It's just like completely random, right? And I was like, in my mind, I was like, you know what? That could totally work for what I'm doing. So all I did was respond to his comment, and I sat in the chair, and all I did was go into zero gravity mode while that audio was playing in the background. And I got 19 million views on that video, 2 million likes. But that's not even the best part. My gaming chair is completely branded with my Savage Marketer brand. It has Savage Marketer all over it. Savage Marketer hat, Savage Marketer shirt. Like, I was completely branded when that went viral. And it got stolen. My video got stolen. It got reposted on Pubicity. It got reposted on Hoodvids. It got reposted on 9gag. I was a meme. I was the most popular video on TikTok in September. I think it was like September 20th and 21st of like 2021 or something like that. Yeah. And I got 130,000 followers.
Wow.
So now why am I saying this? Because it's never the thing that you think it's going to be, well, at least in my case. And secondly, it shows the value of actually using the negative troll energy. Because guess what? A lot of the reason why that was a troll was because people were, A, they were intrigued by my video, and B, a lot of them were responding back to that guy. And number 3, they were like, dude, this guy's name is Real George Floyd. Like, he's obviously a troll. So a lot of the comments on there were like, this guy's obviously trolling. A lot of them were like, no, dude, you got a great setup. And the other people were agreeing with the guy saying, yeah, dude, you're shit. So like you want to make your content a conversational piece. That's how you go viral.
Yeah, I love what you said about using negative troll energy, because what we use in energy world is like we love transmuting, right? You can't really alchemize anything if you are unable to see that dark energy and bring it into light, because that could have just easily destroyed your ego if you were a person that takes pride in that. And if you had a little fragile ego, you'd be like, oh, my gaming chair. Oh, like now I'm scared now, but you're not, because now
I
you
feed on the tears of trolls.
Exactly.
I love it. The energy of trolls, it just makes me, I love it. And you know what? I have to give credit to one of my mentors who told me, like, if you don't have haters, if you don't have trolls, you are not working hard enough. Like, you are not doing big enough things.
Why are people so afraid of trolls, especially when they want to go viral? Is there like a mental preparation that you have to prepare for? Because there is love, and for me, I think in the space of being a creative, it's either you're going to be liked or you're going to be loved. Or no, sorry, you're going to be loved or you're going to be hated, right? And there's nothing in between. And I think there's a safe space in between that people are so afraid to be themselves because they're so afraid to be hated. But the question really comes down to, like, do you want to be loved for who you're pretending to be or actually hated for who you are? Because those are obviously not your people. And I think that's even more raw for people to start unfollowing people. That's the boldest thing you can do to live your life and clear your energy. Because when you know someone's not for you, why do you keep following them? You're asking for it. You're asking for your own suffering. You're asking to be triggered. But when you watch other people's content, when you get triggered, it's just an invitation to look at the part of yourself that gets triggered by a certain messaging or a certain video. Like, is that the gaming chair that guy wants?
Katya said something to me last night, which was hilarious. So Katya and I, we've been friends for a while, but the funny part is we totally are just like a WhatsApp, Instagram fam, like, and because she's so young, she's not even on Facebook. Like, she barely has a Facebook presence. And I was like, hey, she's like, hey, I think I tried to add you as a friend. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my friends list has been full for 5 years. Like, I have 5,000 friends. I know everybody on that list. Like, I have a couple of family members that have passed away, a couple friends, but I'm like, I don't want to be that guy to like delete them from my friends list,
Yeah.
So like my friends list is full. And Katya yesterday tried to add me, and it was like, Jeff, I can't even add you as a friend. You're full. I was like, okay, I got to delete a friend for you. Now, Katya said something that was very interesting. Part of it is because she knows my brand. But she goes, well, it's time for you to create a post to make people unfollow you. Right? It was time. So maybe you want to talk about that. Like, what does that mean? Like, is it important? Do you believe it's super important to like repel the people that shouldn't be in your network?
The way I look at it is what you said earlier, actually. You said people pretend or try to fit in a specific title or a specific lane because they want to be liked in real life, right? First of all. And online is even worse. But to me, I really got over that fact because, first of all, like, my upbringing was pretty rough. Like, I was stuttering my entire childhood. I was bullied a lot. I have very dry skin on my hands. So I was just, like, bullied a lot. And that built a lot of the resilience. And I've heard very many mean jokes towards me and stuff like that. So I think for me personally, from my own experience, I just really don't take shit personally because it's not because of me what they're saying, it's because of them and how they perceive the world. So when I started my personal development journey, really is I realized the importance of time you spend in your head thinking about someone that might not like you or don't accept you and stuff like that. That shit can get real spirally, and I've been there, and I just choose not to do that. And yeah, on social media sometimes, like, I do have a beautiful life, and I'm also going through a lot of challenges personally. I choose to maybe not show every single part of that, and that's something that I'm actually inspired by seeing other people when they show the vulnerable parts is because that I connect with them on a whole new level. When I see like, oh yeah, I'm thinking they all got it together, but then I'm seeing like they're going through challenges, is when I personally connect. But to me, social media is not that important, is that in that sense. I like the personal connection. Like we said at that, event, and you shared something, what your last year has been like. And that really resonated with me because I've been through the same thing, but I choose not to talk about it. So when it comes to haters and all of that, dude, I think the same way you just said. If something triggers you, that's like literally an invitation or a sign for you to look within. And look, I catch myself sometimes judging other women, and I'm open, I'm okay with saying that, is because I take full responsibilities, because there's parts that I probably haven't accepted of myself, or maybe I'm ashamed of. That's why like I might have those thoughts, but I'm very aware of my thoughts, and I pay attention what comes to me and how I internalize it. So sure, like it might be unpleasant when people talk shit, but I'm like, what is it gonna do? Am I gonna remember you in a year? Probably not. Are you gonna change my life? Probably not. So why would I waste my time?
Yeah, I think that comes with age. Like the older you get, the more mental clarity you have for yourself, and you only want to focus that energy for yourself and for your important relationships, like our intimate relationships. And growing up, like I did lose a lot of that focus, and I put other people's opinion on the pedestal, being a people pleaser. It's like, if I like this, no one's gonna like this. If I do this, then it's a family guilt and shame that I carry as an Asian woman when I dropped out of college and all of this stuff, right? And getting bullied and all of that I carried with me. Man. And we don't talk about how childhood bullying, especially as a girl, like takes a toll on you mentally. And when you grow up, you kind of fuck up your sense of self, your identity, your self-worth.
It's the same for men. I can tell you this right now. I was also bullied. Yeah, I was also bullied. Believe it or not, I was always super short until
What? Look at your numbers.
Did you do some steroids or what?
No, I just had this really weird growth spurt in the 8th grade. Like the summer from 8th grade into freshman year, I went from like 5'6" to 6 foot in like a summer. I grew like 6 inches. Like my left kneecap dislocates all the time because the tendon, it's like it got stretched out basically. But like it was like a transformation for me. And I had my 8th grade year, I had braces and the worst acne ever. And honestly, my self-esteem was this low. Like even going back to the types of women that I dated, or girls back then, I was like, what the heck? Like I see somebody on my Facebook like, oh my God, I thought she was cute, and like, hey, I'm just being real, and it's like, wow, and like, I think, by the way, I just want to put out, that's one of the reasons why I love you guys, is because like you guys are so awesome and so beautiful, but like you guys had so many things that you went through as a kid, because most of the time in America, when you meet really beautiful women, they have very ugly hearts, and you guys don't. I just want to put that out there. I love you both.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a dick joke.
But I do want to stand up for men that get bullied. I'm just throwing it out there. It crushes you. Like I had the reason why I was introverted probably was just because I was so used to getting made fun of, and there were and like when I went into sports and things, I started getting more self-esteem, and and I was a swimmer too, so I started getting the tan and starting to get the swimmer bod, and people, I started like girls are actually attracted to me. Like that was like a huge thing, and I feel like there's a lot of people in this world, especially men, who never get looked at like, wow, he's attractive. And like, like it's something that, and by the way, I just want to also give you guys credit. I know the women have a lot harder time on that attractiveness stuff. Like dudes, like I don't wear makeup, you guys are trying to show up, as you, and, it's like, it's nutty to me just how society works. And, I just want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, no, the self-worth thing is like real for sure, especially when you're growing up with adversities like that. Like, to me, I was sharing that with Jeff yesterday. My self-esteem and confidence came when I came to the U.S. and I came here when I was 18 years old. Like I had nowhere close the level of confidence and like self-worth and self-love that I have now for myself. Then it was like non-existent, because I literally built my entire identity around the fact that I couldn't express myself clearly. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. You know, nobody's gonna ever touch my hands. You know, like stuff like that. And guess what? In America, everybody loves to.
I'm a horrible friend.
Shake hands.
I'm a horrible
don't
friend.
right now. I was kidding.
Yeah.
It's fine. No, it's all good.
When I first, I just think it's fair. It's fair because I think like people listening in probably don't understand what you've gone through. But, you know, obviously she, you know, when earlier when you were talking about when people say things, I even thought of a horrible friend joke I was going to say. So that means you got to grow thick skin, literally.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good one.
That's good because when you said like you grew 6 inches, I'm like
Yeah,
vertically or
exactly.
horizontally or what? Like,
Now, I grew 6 inches vertically in 8th grade, and then when I turned 40, it was like it was horizontally, not
orbital?
vertically. Yeah, it's like orbitally. Yeah, it's like
circumference or what is it?
I grew in circumference. That's a good one. See, but that's the thing, and
Friends can roast each other.
and
you
like
know?
Katya is so amazing, and you know, like it's so crazy because like we all have our own self doubt, and that's the point I want to bring up. By the way, is that anybody who looks at Katya would never think that she would have self doubt. That she, you know, like it's so crazy. Like when I met you, I was like, oh my God, she's so incredible and whatever, and the like you seem so confident in everything, and then when I get to know you, I'm like, oh wow, she's just like me. Same with you. Like, oh wow, we have so much in common.
But the power of sharing that is where it's at, because people would never know.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it. That's
Until-
exactly my point, is that you would never know. And it goes back to also what you were saying about being vulnerable and sharing that authenticity. And like, you know, when you are able to be vulnerable, it also does a service to the world, because 100%. You're sharing like when I share my story about how I got ripped off by a client who stole 47 of my team members. I got poached by a massive client it was very painful. You know, $1 million a year I lost in revenue, just like it was super painful. And not to mention, the worst part about getting screwed over like that is that you actually start thinking about yourself. You're self-examining yourself, like, wow, how did that happen to me? Why would someone do that to me? Is this time for a break? Moscow Mule.
Sorry, I'm a little thirsty.
Look at
no, I don't want to interrupt you. I was
no, I
just
want
trying not to break my damn nail.
Can we do this? We're gonna
shout
stop
out?
right here. We're gonna do a little shout out. Let me see. Where's my camera? There it is.
Yeah. Ooh, that's
There's my
first
camera right
time
there.
and shit.
All right. We have the Low Tail Libations. Moscow Mule. It's a mocktail.
It's for you.
0 proof. I'm gonna try it out.
try it
I
out.
actually love Moscow Mule. That's
Same.
that's my go-to.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I knew
even
it.
just cracking it open, the little tiny crack here, I can smell. It smells
Having
like
the
one.
old fashioned.
Let's try it.
Now it's not
it-
as cold.
it
No,
good?
but I love
Wow,
the
that tastes
the whole transparency. That's the other word, right? It's with
Yes.
AI. I don't feel like other people can be as transparent because now they have
Let me try that one.
layers
Let me try that one.
to hide under in social media, because now they're like, oh, if they didn't like this version of me making posts before, it's like plastic surgery for fucking social media, like digital personas.
Everyone
It's
online
like
is
plastic
always
surgery
so
and
fake,
shit,
dude. They're
it's
just,
like all these filters and all these apps and all these like pictures. That's not
Yeah.
even them anymore.
I have a friend.
and it's fucking
I have a
crazy.
friend,
It's like
no
getting a
joke.
fucking fish, catfish.
crazy.
I have one of my friends, and like literally, she posts the most outrageously AI modified things, and then I literally brought one of my friends to meet her. And when I introduced, I was like, "Hey, this is my friend. Name I won't mention." And he was just like he was like, "Really? You're that person?"
Oh yikes!
Like, he didn't say that out loud. He was just
Yeah.
afterwards. He was like, "Yo, what the hell?" You know,
Yeah.
like doesn't even look anything like her. And you know, I feel like that's the same thing that's happening, not just for pictures and stuff, but just like AI in general. Like people can tell.
yeah.
People can tell. You got to dial it in. You know, like for me, when I use the Face app, I just use the silky feature.
You do?
What's
I
that?
use the
Face
silky
app?
feature, because you know I don't wear makeup, so sometimes I'll have like color splotches, like red little splotches, because I'm white, and you know, and of course I'm bald, right? So like it's a double whammy.
Surprise!
It's a double whammy. Surprise!
You just blinded me.
Even yesterday when we were having dinner, one of the people, I took my hat off, and they were like, "Whoa, you're bald."
How many times do you get that? I feel like every time.
No, the funniest thing for me is because I'm trying to look a little skinnier on the camera. So when I'm at my studio, I got my cameras mounted above me, so I get that extra 10, 20 pounds off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it makes that jaw a little better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then and the funniest part is because the camera's aiming down at me, I look a little shorter on camera. So when I see people in person, they always go, "Oh, you are much bigger than I thought."
That's what she said.
And of course I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty fat." And they're like, "No, I meant tall. You're very much taller than I thought you were." I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah, no, same. I when I saw you, I was like, "Wow, you're a big dude. Tall."
Oh, just tall. Okay.
Yeah. Don't inflate his ego. His head's fucking huge already. What the fuck? No, that's why I kind of love the curiosity in meeting people online. Because just by looking at your social media, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to fucking be friends with this person. But if you were to tell me, hey, you've got to meet her, that to me means more than me just scrolling and looking for people. Because they're like, just go look at this person. Would you want to work with them? I'm like, I don't give a fuck what their social media looks like. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure people are judging us by our social media. I'm like, totally. That's fucking okay, dude.
Okay, let me just say one last thing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let's
when people have a completely separate identity online than offline, that bothers me. When you're like, oh, and they show up, for me, I consider myself a Christian, I'm a little foul-mouthed here and there, but even my AI knows how I roll. It'll say some pretty raunch things. I don't usually cuss per se, but on my social media posts, I will use the poop emoji.
Oh, bad boy.
Is that as bad as it gets?
Okay,
calm down.
Hold on now.
Calm down, Jeff.
I use the poop. Let me explain.
What a badass.
I use the poop emoji. I use the poop emoji to insinuate the word shit. Okay? Yo, you won't believe this poop emoji. Right? So, I want to implant that into people's head, right? I'm using it in a polite way, but people know what I mean, right? And the crazy part is when I show up and I'm like, oh, man, you want to hear some crazy shit? When I say that, people know that who I am online is who I am offline. That's the point.
For sure.
And then, for you, you're the same online as you are offline. You are...
You get canceled.
She's everywhere.
I don't know if you
She's like, okay, she's a little bit more extreme offline. Yeah. Tony's a little more extreme offline. But she's also in real estate, But the thing is, going back to what you were kind of hinting to me earlier with the post, I think that how you build your brand online is super important. Mm-hmm. Because you want to bring the people into you guys are hella cool. We're gonna do cool stuff together. But at the same time, you also want to repel the people, the people that would get offended if I said some crazy shit. Well, you're not gonna enjoy a conversation with me, and you can unfriend me. Yeah. So that's what I think is important. I think right now, especially just like what you said, if I wanted to make everybody happy, I wouldn't be doing what I do. I'd sell ice cream or something. That's why it's super important that we actually genuinely and by the way, I don't mean to be an asshole, but you want to be polarizing in a good positive way. A positive way that there we go. Let's use it literally. You are a positive magnet. Okay, and you want to repel the negative people that you don't think are going to work. Well, technically, I would be the negative magnet, and I'm going to repel the negative people. Okay, out there.
Okay.
Right. So I want to keep the positive people in my life.
Yeah.
And we got to think of it that way. We want to build the network and the community of people that. I don't want to. By the way, I'm not saying like-minded. I don't want everybody to believe everything that I believe. I believe everybody should have their own beliefs. Mm-hmm. But one thing's a no-brainer for me. I want people in my network that will respect my opinions, even if they aren't the same.
Yes.
Yes. That I love that you brought that up.
Because I respect your opinion, even if you don't think the same thing. Everyone needs to be themselves around me, and they have to be okay with everyone else. Yep. Now you got to be ready for some debate. If you got
absolutely, I'm ready for debate
on so much shit.
Yeah, but we agree that we disagree, and we move on, right?
Or else you have a fucking echo chamber of shapes.
Like if you
yes,
you
yes,
have a certain if you have a certain viewpoint, like and I disagree with you, I might say something, and I even might make fun of your position, or whatever. And you
fucking do it. Let me challenge you respectfully.
Exactly. I expect you to come back and tell me why you think that way.
If you can't fight with your friends, they're not really your friends.
That's
because
right.
your
100.
fragile ego is way too much, and like you just care too much about what their opinion of you, and you're doing it to catering to their sensitivity bias of what you think they think about you.
Yeah, but
so you care more about that than living in your truth, and they're not really your friend.
Do you remember when you used to tell a funny sexist and racist joke and people would just laugh?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
It's not the same anymore. People get offended so fast nowadays, and it's bothering me.
Yeah.
Like,
This is why I don't go out.
Like the days of like I'm just thinking about all the comedians that got canceled. You know, it's like it's messed up because like you used to be able to just tell a joke and people laugh, and it's like you know that you obviously aren't a hateful person. You just thought it was funny.
yeah.
Now people are afraid to laugh because they don't want to associate with that joke, because now other people can see what kind of content or what kind of thing is funny to them, because now everyone cares too much about that, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just like kind of like deep in that thought right now, because when you brought up like-minded, that was almost triggering, because now anyone that goes out networking is like, look for like-minded people.
I don't like
your
like-minded.
net worth is your
Nope.
network. I'm like, everyone can tell you they want to do business with you, but are they truly going to show up and actually do? Because Vegas is the same thing. A lot of the networking is very transactional around here. People say they want to make money with you. People say they got you and all this stuff. It's all fucking fluff. And it's like, sure, it's nice. Give me your card. And then how they return that, it's like, do they actually show up for you? You know what I mean? And I think integrity in business creates a lot more impact than people just saying they want to do shit with you.
Katya literally told me like 4 days ago that she was hosting an event here with Don, her husband. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. I'm there, you know, because while we're there, we're going to record content because we actually had stuff to do. Yeah. So I'm always looking at how can I support my people? Mm-hmm. How can I bring them in the fold? And like, I want to see everybody win. And, you know, like, I know not to be cliche, the whole idea of the tide raises all the boats, right? It's like, that's the idea of it all. But at the same time, like, it's crazy because the cultures that I'm seeing, and not just in America, but around the world, it's like, it's not like that anymore. Like, we were just talking to the founder of the Flavor Rico. Shout out to my guy over there.
Ruben.
Oh, I didn't want to say his name. Dang it! He might not like me now.
Why?
If he gets called out on this, because I'm going to say something he said. He was talking about where he's from in Mexico. They had a ranch. It's a kind of a ranch community, and you know, one of his neighbors basically had their ranch burned down, and instead of the community of ranchers kind of getting together to help, they were kind of like celebrating, like, yes, one less competition.
Wow.
And like, that's not the world that I want to live in.
Yeah.
You know, so like right now, I think it's super important, especially like if you look at what, like you can feel the narrative that's happening, you know, you can feel what's happening. And it's like, it's weird because like, I mean, thank God it's 2024 and we can actually bring up COVID and stuff like that. But like, if we think about all the stuff that's like being force fed into our brains, the stuff that's inappropriate. Remember they tried to say that Trump saying that Wuhan flu was racist. And we found out, it actually was a lab leak from Wuhan, right? Like now, it's like there's just this narrative of just like sensitivity of like, you know, and like I feel like right now the voice of sanity is so important. Like that's why Joe Rogan's blowing up. You know, like Joe Rogan and these guys that are just like you're not going to hear that stuff anywhere in the mainstream media. You're not going to hear that on CNN. You're not going to hear that stuff on Fox News. Like you know, I feel like we need a return of common sense, but common sense has shifted so far that there's hardly any left.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's the biggest divide in human connection. It's like, if you believe a certain thing and I believe a certain thing, we're immediately like enemies because we're fed propaganda that makes us believe we're enemies, but we don't care about connecting with each other. You know, and now it's the other scapegoat is now AI. That's why I love talking about AI and human connection, but it's really our responsibility at the end of the day to like treat other people not how we want to be treated, because I know that's an old saying, but there's value that you can pour into people. There's kindness, there's grace, there's all of these things that's like missing. And now the next scapegoat is AI.
So like your shirt.
Yes.
thank you.
Look at that shirt. Look at that shirt. Are we looking at that shirt? Look at that shirt.
Show it up.
Are we looking
Show it
at
off.
Trevin? You got that shirt? Where is it? No,
Kindness
you got
is free, baby.
Look at that.
It's
Kindness
free,
is
baby.
free. Life is good. You know, like
Yeah.
like if we just took that principle, you know, that if we just appreciate people, you know, like I appreciate people, like and I value people, even if they have a different opinion than me. I value that person. I think it's super important for us to be able to have an opinion, share an opinion, and not be chastised, but challenged if somebody doesn't like your opinion. And you have to be ready to be challenged. Nobody wants to be challenged anymore. They just want to build a bubble of people that believe the same thing that they do.
Yeah. No, I appreciate my friends so much. I actually tell my friends all the time, like, please give me feedback. Like, whatever that is, whether you come to my event or, you know, we're at the dinner or, like, whatever else. Like, if you see me doing something that you would do differently or I could do better, like, I'm genuinely always open for feedback.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism, whatever. You can tell me all the things because I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to look at it from a third perspective and I'll evaluate. And I love feedback. I operate off of external feedback to me. So I know I'm doing well or I know I'm not doing too well, you know? So if you guys have any feedback for me ever, please throw it at me. Just so you know.
If you guys have any feedback for us, if we should say less dick jokes, please give it to us in the comment.
Unless you don't like what we say, then, you know, just leave it there.
Yeah.
We'll use it as a troll comment later to feed. We'll feed off your troll comment later. Don't worry.
No, but I do want to end on the note that authenticity is the highest frequency. You know, so as long as you operate in integrity to who you are and what value you want to bring to the world, you will attract your people. And that's it, you know? So I appreciate you guys for being here today and contributing and pouring so much value into this friendship, into just humor and like life itself. Kind of like we talk about. It's like a lot of people take life way too seriously and life is way too short, you know, to walk around with a fucking stick up your ass and shit. So hopefully, like after this, there's some people that might
take it out.
Hopefully. Pull it
What's
out.
the shape of the stick? I mean, is it
like this.
How big
In my mind, at least. No, but can I also add something on top of that? The authenticity, when you said that it actually makes a world a better place or something like that, like I resonate with that because what I found, at least from my personal experience and my hallucination, right, when I show up as myself, let's say like I'm in a place where the music is so good and nobody's dancing, like I will start dancing, you know, and then I see other people who will actually see that, hey, she's not afraid to show herself, she's not afraid to speak her mind, like they will actually get encouraged and motivated. That's just how I get motivated sometimes when I see another person open up. So the more you open up and show your true self, like you actually help the world. Like you actually do.
Love that. Be real, be raw, be authentic, be the little fucking freaky weirdos that you guys are.
Yep.
Keep on doing you. Don't be afraid. There's enough in the world.
This podcast is probably going to shock a lot of my people. Just because, you know, I don't do a lot of like video. But usually the video content that I do is like educational. You know?
Let's see
like
some real sides of Jeff.
Is like, this is like
personal.
This is like the stuff that I don't really talk about because, you know,
speak your mind.
You don't want to. You know, I do. You know, I know that my network is really large and I have lots, you know, I have hundreds of thousands of followers on my network and they have all sorts of different beliefs and stuff. And sometimes you're afraid, like if I tell my beliefs, then people are going to shy away from me or they're going to get offended and things like that. And, you know, what I, you know, for people that are listening to me from my network, because of course I'm going to share the shit out of this, you know, like I just want you to think about yourself in your deep side and think about the conversations that you have with your friends at home, your family. Like, how does that match up? How are you showing up in the real world? You know, like, for example, Katya is such a beautiful post. Like, I respect her a lot. A lot of people won't have the same viewpoints as you, but, you know, you and your husband went to Reading. You got baptized in the Sacramento River. Like, she had such a beautiful story that she wrote, like, a long soliloquy almost of, like, this most amazing story about how they met and things like that. And it was so wonderful and beautiful. And I was like, you know what? That's going to attract the right people and it's going to repel the wrong people. And by the way, if you are one of my followers and you're watching this podcast and say, you know what, I feel like I didn't know Jeff and I don't like this Jeff, then bye-bye.
Bye now.
How's that build up?
That was good.
Bye-bye.
Damn, he just edged us, bro.
Wow, I was wondering what was coming.
You know I like those stories.
You know it always
That's
comes.
what she said. Alrighty.
We're not sponsored by Pornhub, by the way.
Oh my god.
Bum, bum.
That was so fucking funny. Well, guys, that's it for us today. We might do a part 2 because this is fucking hilarious. I
Yes.
love talking to these people and just showing up as who they are and being as authentic as we can. We're not drunk, by the way.
I
These
know,
are,
but it
these
kinda
are
makes me
mocktails from the Lotel.
It's a placebo effect.
I would
We're
like
like
to
tipsy.
see,
we
you
feel
know
like
what
we're
I
all
mean?
high and shit. But
I
we're
would
not.
like to see a sugar-free version of this.
Yeah,
because
that's what Samuel said,
This
too.
tastes
24
really
grams.
amazing. And
Yeah.
by the way, it doesn't have a lot of, but I mean,
24.
a Coke.
He's watching his figure.
A Coke has like 36
Yeah.
grams of sugar. This has
Yeah.
like 24, so
24,
it's
yeah.
still less sugar. But it tastes
lot.
very good. But what
Yeah.
I will say is that I just try not to put sugar in the bloodstream unless it's like, I have to. But
Yeah.
Moscow Mule here, Lotel Libations, this is actually better than the Moscow Mule I had at the casino last night.
Damn.
So there it is.
Just got add a little vodka in there.
Where
There
can they
you go.
find you guys on social media?
She's sober over here. You're wanting to add vodka.
she's
in
a fucking
I
there.
will be the one. This
She's
is really what I
Russian.
was
She's
saying.
Russian.
Like they
Excuse
use-
my Russian friend over there.
Sorry, this
For
will
those
be
of you
for
who
find
me.
you
are
on
sober,
social
no,
media.
we're not putting any vodka in the
I am.
mocktail.
Yeah, no.
Be
A
sober.
little shot, you know what I'm saying?
Where can they find you guys on social media?
Katya Hayley, the Katya Hayley on Instagram or LinkedIn, and yeah, Jeff. Hunter.
Jeff J Hunter on Instagram. If you Google me, actually Jeff the letter J Hunter, I have my Google panel now, so like I'm official and stuff.
Fancy.
And of course, I just want to before I go, I just want to say you are amazing, and I just the amount of work you do here and the relationships that you build. A shout out to Trevin, who's been running the cams in the
What's
back.
good?
Like this
Hope
is an
he's
incredible space. I love it. I'm definitely coming back.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say thank you as well. Like, this is my second or third time seeing you in person, but I freaking love you. Like,
I knew you guys were
really
gonna get along.
do. Like,
Every time I come, I'm like, Tani, come
I
to the
need
event.
more of that in my life. I need more rawness and just like I don't give a fuckiness.
Yes, Tani.
New
I
word,
love
new
it.
word. Unfuckawithable.
Exactly.
Well, guys, that's
exactly.
it for us today. You can find me on Instagram at Tonosaurus or Fit and Frugal Pod. If you like what you heard, found yourself in any of our stories, drop us a like, follow, comment, tell us what you like, what you didn't like. I don't give a fuck. Follow them, give them a shout out, and stay fit and stay frugal and stay true to you. Peace.
I ain't fit or frugal.
Yes, you
Damn.
are.
No, I'm not.